Hello, everybody. My name is Carter Hall, and with me today, I've got a good friend of mine. He's a sports guru who I kind of like to watch on social media for his commentary because he knows the insides and outs of almost every sport, including UFC. My good friend and soon to be yours, Matt Long. How's it going, man?
Oh man, it's going great. It's good to be here, Carter. I love
Yeah,
doing this.
yeah, man. Thanks for coming on. We tried doing this in the past, but a little bit technical difficulties on my end, so I wasn't able to, release the podcast. But nonetheless, we got this going on, so we finally here. I'm happy to have you on this podcast because, kind of the foundation of the spirit of this podcast is kind of like sports, I think, oriented, if in a way, nonetheless, um, you obviously know a lot about football, baseball, UFC mainly, which we're gonna get into. I can't wait to get into UFC with you because last night, Saturday, we had set we have can't speak UFC 278. I'm so excited I can't speak. Um, UFC 278 just happened or anything like that. And man, what are your thoughts overall?
Um, man, where do I even start? The card was in Utah, which was very a different location compared to other areas that they had pay-per-view fights, but the the Utah card seemed pretty cool, to be honest. We're gonna start with Tyson Pedro, how he bounced back from all those injuries that he's had in the past. What a way to come back from that to
That was
have
an
a good knockout.
that was a pretty exciting match, I think. That was pretty cool because that was actually watching that here at home, that first fight, I felt like he really exemplified an early knockout in the first round. I felt like he really I think that was a pretty crazy fight, I think. He's got that crazy power.
Yeah, that kick to the body, it was like what, a front kick to the body, like to the stomach area, and then that's
Yeah,
what sent Hunsucker like down, like on
yeah,
his side.
mhm. That's crazy. I
Ooh,
think that was that was hold on, I think I may be thinking of the wrong fight. I'm just dude, don't listen to me. That's the fight that was if I'm thinking about the right fight, this is the one that went to a split draw, right? Or was this the knockout?
no, it was just a knockout.
That's right, it was a knockout. Cause okay, I have my matches right. Okay, I was confused because I started watching the prelims a little early, and I got confused. So, now I remember the fight. So, that was a great crazy fight. Because thinking about it now, he 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 said kicked him to the stomach. I remember that now, it's called coming to me. So, that was an exciting fight. They think kinda start off the night, I think. Um,
Yeah,
Go ahead.
um, I think it was like a minute and 5 seconds.
Yeah, it was a pretty early one too. That was a crazy fight. I mean, what were your some of your take I wanna hear you first. What were some of your takeaways? I mean, other than that, like, what I know it's kinda hard to take away a whole lot that was, from a fight that's only 1 minute long, but, um, what was, what were your expectations, going into the fight? Did you have any, or just were you just looking to see what's going on?
Well, I've seen some of the highlights on the UFC page. Like, I didn't know anything about Tyson Pedro besides like the way that he had to bounce back from injuries, but this dude looks like an absolute contender. It looks
Mhm,
like a top 15 prospect, and like the power's there. His power, like in his right and left. The front kick to the body, we saw that last night.
mhm.
Phenomenal. He seems like an absolute contender, man.
For sure, I think a really good contender. He's gonna be a name, I think, that a lot of, Pedro's gonna you're gonna be hearing that name a lot, I think, and gonna be hosting up a title pretty soon. Hopefully, I wanna see Dana, see some of these up and coming people, like, really bringing them up a little bit. I've been watching more of the Dana White Contender Series too. There's a lot of up and coming people there too who've been getting contracts and anything like that. Like, that I think really can, be beneficial too, I think. So, but yeah, Pedro, he's gonna be a really good contender, I think, before you know it, for sure.
Yeah, man.
Have you
He's
been watching?
also from Australia.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I think I remember that. Yeah, he is from Australia. That's crazy too. Have
so
you been
many
wa
good Australia fighters.
Yeah, there's a lot that surprisingly good because it feels like every time you hear a good fighter, you either think Russa or someone from, Ireland or something like that, and it seems like that, or something, it's always something. like you never really think Australia having people making it big in the UFC, but it feels like to me it feels like there's been a lot more people in the UFC who are coming from Australia, kind of making the way up a little bit.
Yeah, you got Robert Whitaker, you got Alex Volkanovski,
Yeah,
Tai Tuivasa, that all came from Australia, and they're in the rankings.
for sure. Just like just name drop names, just every name a name from Australia. They probably are really close to a contender, or they've held up a title like once or twice or multiple times in their career. Like like it's just crazy that the plethora of Australian people out there who are just dominant, in this world of UFC right now or MMA in general.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Have you been able to kind of off topic, but have you been able to watch any of the Dana White Contender Series lately or no?
No, not really, man.
Oh man, I really haven't either. But to be honest, the reason why I bring that up is because there's another guy. I was going to ask if you heard about this or not. There's a wrestler named Bo Nickel. Have you heard about this guy?
I did hear about him. Yes.
That's kind of crazy. That I want to get your thoughts on this. We'll go back to the pay per view. I promise you, because that's something reminded me about this. Um, so was it shocking to you that because Bo Nickel won his fight in the first round with a very quick submission, he pretty much took him down, ground and pound, and took him to like a pretty much a rear naked choke that won the match. And but yeah, that I thought it was impressive. But I'm just a fan. I'm not Dana White here. His name's on the cell, not mine. But he ended up not getting a contract, but Dana in the press conference said that he's going to get one more fight on the contender series, and he's going to offer him a contract. So, what do you like? Is that something you think that's kind of shocking? Like, it's just generally speaking, like not so much Bo, but or if you want to talk to Bo's case, or is that generally do you think that's kind of crazy to you? What are
I
your
just
thoughts on the whole
felt
situation
like
on stuff like that?
I felt like it was I just don't understand. Like you win your fight in like pretty phenomenal fashion, right? Like
Yeah,
you do good, like you actually get the finish. Like you don't go to a decision or anything. You actually get the finish, and like it, I don't know. I just can't put my finger on it. He got the finish and everything, and like he was a good fighter,
yeah,
and
for
I
sure.
felt like he should have got that contract right on the spot.
Yeah. For sure, I think that too. I was just thinking, if you get the impressive fitness. Speaking of impressive finishes, we're kind of going all over the place. I'm sorry. You said Bo Nickel. I feel, especially in that situation, it feels like I believe that if like any fighter for that like no matter if you're at the Dana White Contender Series or you're in a title fight, which we're gonna get. We're gonna. I promise we're gonna talk about the title fights later on. I promise. Um,
Yeah,
because there's a
no
title
problem.
fight. There's a title fight that happened last night. I want to talk about. Um, so uh So it feels like any situation where no matter where you're at, it feels like if you finish somebody, you feels like you really impress someone, then it feels like more people deserve to see that, I think. But, kind of speaking about going to the judges and having, a finish and having judges win the fight, we are kind of talking off air a little bit, and especially last night about this. Jose Aldo, Jose, man, that was a crazy fight last night, wasn't it?
Yeah, I just don't understand. Like Jose didn't even get taken down that whole entire fight.
Mm,
He stuffed all the takedowns. The issue was not letting his hands go, I guess. Yeah, Marab was pushing forward. He wasn't giving Aldo any room any room to breathe, really.
mm,
He was just pinned against the cage pretty much the whole entire fight. But I felt like Aldo did some good things. Like the leg kicks were there, like some of his left hooks that I saw were pretty fascinating. Just didn't let
yeah.
his hands go enough.
Yeah, for sure. I saw that a lot too. I think he just Jose, I think he had a lot of shots taken on him. It feels like I think may have said this last night, talking about how I think I saw a lot of um, gosh, there was a lot of single legs taken. It feels like really up against the cage. No, not really so much takedowns, but just more just trying to get Jose's energy wasted. It feels like that really could have been a big factor. I think in it all. I think just trying to wear Jose out a little bit and just kind of went to the judges. And I think after that. That's one fight I think I was really surprised about, because I really wanted Jose to win. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case.
Yeah. you always want a UFC legend to
Yeah,
win their fight, but like unfortunately it wasn't meant to be. And now like I don't even know what's next for Jose after what just happened.
for sure. It feels like do you think do you think do you think he's kinda I don't know if this is too early or too late to ask this, but do you think he's nearing his end as a UFC, or is it too early to ask that, you think?
Um, I wouldn't like count out Jose Aldo, to be honest. Like, been on a perfect fight, or not perfect, but he's been on a great fight streak, win streak until last night. But like,
Yeah,
I, I Wally, like his like partner is Aljamain Sterling, the uh the champion in that division, right? They're both
yeah,
in that division, but Morab won't fight him even if he's next for the title after TJ Dillashaw. So I
yeah.
don't know what's next for that issue. Maybe it could be Cheeto Vera. Who knows?
Yeah, Cheeto Ver that's another up and coming guy too, I think that could really be impressive too. I think he's another phenomenal talent too, I think, in that weight class, I think, too. He's just
Oh my goodness.
he's ferocious, I think. He's quick.
Did you see that head kick they put on Dominic Cruz?
Yeah, that was crazy. That's oh my gosh, lights out. Man,
Dominic Cruz's nose was broken just as soon as I saw that head kick. I was like, yeah, that nose is broke.
yeah, for sure, instantly. Sorry, I think I had a phone call, sorry.
Yeah,
But
no
yeah,
worries.
sorry, but yeah, it felt like, Dominic Cruz with after that injury, it felt like it was, like, all in, like, every other place but normal. Um, but, man, he's something else, dude. I think he's another great talent too, I think, in the UFC too. He's a young guy. He's hungry. He wants it. So that's all I ask for is like some of these younger guys. I think, that have someone hungry and wants it. Someone like
Yeah.
Sugar Sean. Someone like that. I feel like, or Patty the Batty, someone like that, anything like that. So I think I've been watching UFC for a lot of years, and it feels like there's a lot of years, a lot of great talent for what's the next 10, 15 years from now, or maybe longer, watching Patty or Sugar or Son, all those guys. So, what are your thoughts on
All the
Sugar
rising stars.
for sure? What do you think about who are some rising stars in your eyes that you think are going to be big name guys? Who are you looking forward to see, like, as far as like rising stars?
It's gotta be Sean O'Malley right now.
Yeah,
He's got a big upcoming fight, man, against Piotr Yan, a former champion. So
yeah,
that's a guy that really sticks out to me the most. Paddy Pimplett, definitely can't count him out, or like can't leave him out of the conversation. He's been getting a lot of hype in the UFC media. So
yeah,
that's a first right there.
for sure. I think those are two like Patty. I felt like he's really becoming like one of those up and like not just a rising star, but he's really like been carrying him and Son, I think, have been the two that have really been putting UFC on their back lately. It feels like they're really like they're I don't know. There's something magical, I think. There's like I haven't really seen anything like this probably since I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. Well, I want to hear what you think about this, but I haven't seen UFC like fans this like I don't know what kind of word electrified or like ready to see those two guys fight since probably maybe Connor in his early days coming in, because it felt like there was something different. It was like we had the traditional, oh, like big guy coming in to smash someone, but Connor, I felt like I think back when he was coming in, he had swagger. But it felt like like Connor had his own type of swagger, if that makes sense. But with
Yes.
Son and Patty, they're older like like two different identities that have their own swagger and their own identity. They're coming together, they're massing together at the same thing. It's like we haven't seen this together. I have to be honest. I don't think I've ever seen two people make this quick an impact, this big of impact so quickly. I don't think
Yes.
unless you can remember anybody else.
Um, there's another guy that sticks out to me. He's a title challenger for UFC 281, and that is Alex Fajeda.
Yes, Alex has been impressive lately. What do you like about him?
Just the power, man. Like that is insane. I didn't think Sean Strickland could get knocked out, and we saw it at UFC. 276, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. That was 276. Yeah, Alex, right? He had he won like wow, he won by a knockout, didn't he?
Yeah, that was the one that we were talking about on the
Yeah,
last podcast that had technical difficulties.
yeah,
That was the fight that stuck out the most, and I knew it was gonna happen. I knew it.
yeah. You were talking. I wish I was. I wish I could have recorded that podcast because you nailed it right on the spot. Like everything, you pretty much had like the biggest intuition ever. Because like everything you said was going to happen, it pretty much happened. Like like how Conor McGregor used to say he was Mystic Mac, he was predicting the future, like, he used to do that. You pretty much did that through, Alex Pereira, so, just crazy, crazy power. It's just so quick, so good too.
And here's the crazy part. I'm gonna make another prediction, and it could come
Uh-oh.
true.
What's up?
I'm thinking Alex knocks out Izzy in 281.
Wow. That'd be crazy. Oh, man. That'd be crazy if that happens, that place comes unglued. Dang.
Like what we saw last night, and we're gonna get to that for sure,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it could come true.
Yeah,
Like
it could.
unexpected fighters, like 2022 has had the most unexpected knockouts
It
that
has.
I didn't think I've ever happened. And I'm gonna name like all the ones. You got
Oh,
Derek Lewis, you
mm,
got Tony Ferguson, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Kai Kara France,
mhm.
and I think I'm missing another. Uh, I think that's it. But like, I didn't expect any of those guys to
Yeah.
get knocked out.
Me either. Just you rattled some like matches off that like some opponents who got knocked out. Some people I never would have thought I would have got knocked out. Like Derek Lewis, Cheryl Gone knocked him out early this year, and I'm like, that's one match I never went on to think that. Yeah, I think it was I don't know how you were thinking in that fight with Sarah Gone and Derek Lewis, but I just feels like I felt like Derek Lewis had it in the bag because I think what I was secretly hoping for was Derek would win that fight against Cyril Gane and go fight Francis for the title again. Have Derek Lewis versus Francis too, or have that match
Yeah.
again. Because I felt like after Derek, to be honest, we're getting a little sidetracked. I'm sorry, but I feel like I need to get into this. But I feel like Francis really wasn't the same after Derek Lewis. I really don't think he was the same whole lot.
Nah, I don't think. And that fight was kind of dull, to be honest, because
Yeah,
everyone, though both of those two, they were afraid to hit each other. I mean,
yeah,
like they have enormous power.
yeah. It's just
It's a
crazy.
fight.
Yeah. Those 2, Francis and Derek Lewis, those 2 are like when it comes to striking and knockout power in the heavyweight division, those 2 they both have it. They're both the 2 top tier knockout people, like head fighters in their division, it feels like. So the fact that they didn't want to they're just kind of going there and just milling around, not really want to use their full force, I think was kind of crazy, I think, in my eyes. But yeah. And then another fight too, I think expect to see get knocked out was Tony Ferguson, with Michael Chandler, and that was
Oh
another
yeah,
crazy fight with that one. What was it? What was it? UFC
it was a front
27.
kick to the face.
Yeah, and it aged like Tony Ferguson
274.
274. The same day I graduated from WT, it was like the same. I remember I had to go watch that pay per view. I didn't get to watch all of it, but I saw it. That was like the first fight I saw like live. I was trying my
Yeah.
best not to stay off social media, so I didn't see any of the highlights because I want to go back and watch it all. But that was one of the first fights I started watching live. And I was so excited that I get to watch like for that fight to be on because I wanted to watch that one. Man, and felt like Michael Chandler went in there with like a death wish and kicked him and knocked him out like with a front head kick, he said. And when I saw that, I'm like, holy crap. Kind of like last night. I was like, man, I was like, holy crap, that just happened kind of thing. And I'm like, wow, I thought like I didn't really know who to pull for, to be honest, in that fight. I was just excited to watch it. It was like one of those matches where like in a while, like you watch it, I'm like, "Oh, I don't know who to pull for because it could go either way. And Michael pretty
Yes.
much kicked him, and that's what ended it. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. What were your thoughts on that fight?
when I saw, well, Tony was winning that whole fight. He dropped Chandler. He was hurting Chandler, and then until Michael Chandler got that takedown,
Mhm.
Tony turned Michael into a wrestler, and then
Yeah.
the second round, out of nowhere, front kick to the face, and then I
Yeah.
didn't expect Tony Ferguson to ever get knocked out,
Yeah.
ever. Like, it just, I didn't think it would happen because I always thought Tony Ferguson had an iron chin, especially with the punishment that Michael, or not Michael, Justin Gaethje did
Yeah.
back when UFC started back from COVID-19
Yeah.
in 2020. Gaethje was giving Tony Ferguson a beating, and like he kept fighting until the ref stopped it in round 5.
Yeah. It was just so crazy because I felt like that was with, Michael and Tony. I felt like that was an early fight. Like for those two, that was an early knockout. I felt like correct me if I'm wrong, but like Michael knocked out Tony Ferguson in the second round, right? So right?
That was second round, yes.
Second round knockout. Yeah, so like you were talking about, he kind of must turn him into a wrestler and everything like that. It was more like a wrestling grappling match more than it was a striking than it was anything. So in my head, because I wrestled in high school, not that it's the same. UFC and they're different. I understand that, but with me, I was trying to utilize like as a wrestling background. I'm like I was trying to utilize. Okay, what's Michael going to do here? What's Tony going to do here from a grappling wrestling standpoint, right? And all of a sudden, like you said, early in the second round, boom, Chandler knocks Ferguson down with a front head kick, and I was like, "Holy crap!" And then my whole like living room went crazy. I'm like, "Holy crap!" That came out of nowhere because I was not expecting. What the crazy thing is too, I watched I think a day or two later, Michael Chandler went on the Pat McAfee show and was like, he was getting interviewed by Pat, and Michael's like, "Yeah, that kick was pretty much like pretty much his measuring tech like kick like measure like where it was at. That wasn't the intent behind it wasn't to knock him out. It was pretty much to try like see if let me see if I can get it. Or let me see what my kickboxing. And all of a sudden, he did that one kick and knocked him out. I was like,
Yes,
the fact that he used that as like a measurement instead of an actual knockout kick was crazy. This true kind of true talent that he has.
that's true. And like he was one of the rising star faces as well. Like you beat Dan Hooker on your first fight to the
Yeah,
UFC, and then you get an automatic title shot to fight Charles Oliveira, which we already know how that
yeah,
happened.
yeah,
But
for
he's
sure.
still a rising star.
Yeah, for sure. And then another another fight that happened on Saturday. I kind of want to get into. We're not. It was the co-main event. Like you said, there's rising stars, but there's also wrestlers, fighters, excuse me, that are on the opposite scale who are kind of on their way out. And with the co-main event, we kind of saw one of those fighters pretty much talk about his ending to UFC and MMA, and that was Luke Rockhold. And
Yes.
so that was a crazy fight, dude. I didn't know it was gonna go. I didn't honestly didn't know it was gonna go the distance. To be honest with you, that was just crazy. What were your thoughts on it?
I thought it was going to end either round 1 or round 2 because Rockhold looked winded. He
Hmm.
looked out of shape. I'm not like the announcers were saying if it was being far from the cage, like not fighting for a
Hmm.
long time because his last fight before this one that just happened was back in 2019 when he
Yeah,
fought Jan Blachowicz, and that didn't go well for him either. But credit to him for coming back and returning
for sure.
and fighting a enormous Brazilian bomber in Paulo Costa.
Yeah, that fight. I don't know what Luke Rockhold was thinking. To be honest with you, was he? What did he? Do you know if he took? Was that like a short notice fight for Luke? Because it felt like his conditioning was not there. Granted, he said he was out for almost 3 years. It felt like to me, I didn't know how much about going into this co-main event, like with
Yeah,
Like with Luke or anything like that. But I felt like with Luke, I felt like I was kind of thinking like early in the first round, like or maybe later in the first round. I'm like, man, Luke doesn't like. He's been at middleweight, light heavyweight for a little bit. I'm like, is his conditioning not there? Like, what's wrong? Did he not? Did they not work on that? Like cardio or what? But I don't know. That was a crazy fight. I think just for that reason because he's the body language is a big key in fighting. I think because if you're out there on your knees, it's just facing forward, trying to catch your breath, then you pretty much lost the fight. I think.
yeah, and did you see, like, all the liver shots that
Yeah,
the liver kicks that he put on Costa? Costa acted like he didn't even feel it, like, he was all laughing about it, and, like,
yeah,
it just didn't really affect him.
for sure. It really I don't think Rockhold really had the power like he thought he used to, you know? Or really did like damage, not so much power, but the damage, the effectiveness like it used to, you know, at one point. So that's what I was kind of thinking at some point.
And then his nose was all busted up,
Yeah,
at the end of the 1st round, like,
yeah,
I thought it was gonna end pretty soon, but, like, Rockhold kept fighting. He even dropped, Paulo, like, a couple of times, got some good shots on him, and then,
mhm.
like, he turned into a wrestler at the end of, 3rd round.
Yeah, for sure. I felt like when Costa, you know, busted up Rockhold's nose early, that was a big deal breaker because, you know, like you said, like that was the point. What's the point of the downfall for Luke? Because all that air that he was breathing in through his nose, that was
Yeah,
non-existent. He was mouth breathing the entire fight, and once you start mouth breathing, that's game over pretty much. Like game set match pretty much for it all.
and then, after his 2nd round, like, he needed his cornerman to, like, carry him back
Yeah,
to the stool, and that's also a deal breaker. That's also what gave it away. The body language, yeah, like you said, was
yeah.
not there.
It wasn't there at all. It just felt like Luke was really, for a fighter, he was really up there in age, and I think it really showed a little bit last night. He's almost 40 if he isn't already. I feel like the fact that you're like in your late 30s, early 40s, still fighting that age, and then your nose happens, and then this happens, and that happens. It felt like, man, that was crazy. That I mean, more credit to Luke for actually, like you said, going out there and fighting. You know, after 3 years off, that's just more credit, more power to him. I think.
Yeah, facts, and like he's also another legend in the sport. Like all the other fighters that actually fought in 2022 and showed retirement and stuff. Like showed that they were retiring after that fight, like Donald Cerrone and
Yeah,
Joanna Jacek,
yeah,
those type of legends in the
yeah.
sport.
Sure. I think Donald Cerrone, you know, everybody knows him as Cowboy, and I feel like he's a legend for sure. I remember watching the pay per view when he retired, you know, in the prelims. I think we may have talked about it in the last podcast too, and I'm like, that's just
Yeah,
crazy. I feel like I grew up, I grew up, felt like watching him, especially all through high school and college. I watched him fight and put on phenomenal matches in his prime because I feel like Donald was one of those legends in his prime. He was a master at everything. He is one of those people like
yes.
he was well rounded in everything: wrestling, striking, kickboxing, you name the discipline. He was good at it. He was good off his back, good on the ground, good at everywhere. I think so. The fact that the way that he retired, I was like, oh man, am I? Man, that's crazy. I was like, wow, that's really it's really happening. He's really retiring. So, but yeah,
I
definitely
thought
a
he
legend for
had
me.
one more fight left,
Yeah, me too. I just crazy.
at least one more.
The fact that he was on the prelims when he retired, I'm like, man, that's sad. I thought he was going to fight at least one more on the main card and then call it quits. For me, I would have been happy. I mean, I'm happy that he's done in a way because I feel like he doesn't have to take this punishment at his age anymore. But I feel like, man, if he has one more fight in him, I want it to be on the main card. It doesn't have to be in the main event or the co-main. It's just anywhere on the match on the card. I would have been happy with it. You know, the main card.
He was supposed to do it twice, man.
Yeah,
UFC 274, he was supposed to
yeah.
open up the main card, and then his opponent, something happened to him. Uh, I don't know what it was. I think it was like an illness. No, it
I think
happened. Donald actually.
Yeah, they could end up getting like that was a non-COVID related illness or something. That's the way that UFC I think worded it.
Yeah, and then the second time he was supposed to fight in Austin, Texas, when
Yeah,
Cater and Emmett were headlining fight night,
yeah,
and something happened to Joe Lazone, who was the matchup for Donald around that time.
yeah. Can you imagine if Donald and the fight night retired in Austin for a cowboy? I mean, that would have been crazy. I think there to retire, but I don't know. He was one of the
Yeah,
it would have been like a perfect like poetic justice in a way, if that makes sense. If there's any way to it, you know. But I don't know. I feel like Cowboys. He's going to go down as one of the legends for sure. I think after it's all said and done, for sure. He's a Hall of Famer. I think in my mind, for sure.
I think so too.
Yeah. And speaking about Hall of Fame, this is a match I've been wanting to talk about that should go in the Hall of Fame. I think the UFC Hall of Fame, and there was the main event of UFC 278. Um,
Uh,
you take the
uh,
lead with that reaction. You take the lead. Go with what you're feeling and thinking right now.
I looked at my screen in shock for nearly an hour. And here's why. I thought Kamaru Usman, who was the pound for pound best in the men's, I thought he had it in the bag. Like, yes, he got taken down for the first time in his career. Round one, yes, it was scary.
Yeah,
And then round two, round three, and even round four, like he was dominating. He was
yeah,
wrestling Edwards down. Yes, Edwards made Usman into a wrestler again. Yes, Usman did like them toe stomps and the feet stomps again, which we haven't seen since the first Masvidal fight. But 56 seconds left in the last round, the fifth round,
yeah.
out of nowhere, Leon Edwards does the unthinkable, the unbelievable thing that I never thought would happen. And he knocks out Kamaru Usman with the head kick. And the head kick seems like it changes everything. We see it with Holly Holm that did it to Ronda Rousey. Cheeto Vera did it to Dominic Cruz last week because Cruz was winning that fight against Cheeto Vera, in
Mhm,
my opinion. But
mhm.
it seems like a head kick changes everything in the game.
For sure. I think it does that a lot. I mean, I was right there with you, I think, in the sense of like for a good minute and a half after the fight, like the early rounds, first 3 rounds. Okay, so this is my take on it. So the first two and a half, 3 rounds is I was felt like Leon was hanging on. He was there. But once you got to the championship rounds, they call them the championship rounds for a reason. And it felt like the fourth or fifth round, he was really Leon Edwards was really like slowing down. You could tell that Kamaru Usman is really he was like in his stride in the fourth or fifth round, and you really saw who the champion was, I think. And then the fifth round starts. It was kind of slowing down towards like the tail end of the fourth round into the early the fifth round, because you kind of at least from my opinion, you kind of saw Kamaru Usman like settling in. Okay, I've retained my title. I felt that feeling for some reason. That was like a feeling like I retained my title. This is it. I am gonna go down in history. I'm gonna tie. Gosh, I'm gonna tie the what's it, the record for most title defenses or something like that.
I think it's 16 and it's
Yeah.
held by GSP.
Yeah, he was going. That's how close Kamaru Usman was to like joining history with that, just tying history. I don't know if he was, and then I literally, I was like, because in my head, literally, I'll tell you, it felt like a movie. Because in my head, I looked up quick because I had the Dallas Cowboys game on, the preseason game on. So I looked up, right? So I was on mute. So I had it. I looked up for a second, watching these highlights from the game, and literally 2 seconds, not even a second later, I looked down and I see Leon Edwards fake with a right hand, and then a kick. It happened like that, and then history changed. And I'm like, I stood there for like a good minute and a half, 2 minutes. It felt like just like I stood up and like, what did I just see? Like I could not tell you how surprised and shocked I was when I saw that. It was just like one of the most
Is
craziest finishes I've ever seen. Like you said, since Ronda Rousey and Holly Holm. That's probably the last time I ever felt that shocked in a UFC fight that long.
Yeah. Yeah, like I was just in disbelief, man, because I thought Usman had it,
Me
and
too.
like he seemed confident. He seemed like he was just ready to get out of there. He was like, "This is it. Like I got this in the bag." And next thing you know, head kick sends Usman down for
Yeah.
good. and it's the first time that I've ever seen Usman lose in the UFC and get knocked out
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah, and that's one of those setups. Let's talk about the setup alone. That won everything for Usman, or for Leon Edwards, excuse me. So Leon Edwards, um, just that right hand. I think Rogan or DC, I can't remember. One of them mentioned that he faked, like he was going to fake him. It wasn't even a closed fist. He didn't even like have it closed all the way. He went like that. Just that setup alone right there faked Usman out enough. I feel like 15 times out of 10, Usman never falls for that. Just that one little percent, like 1.1% chance he fell for it, and then that changed that one kick changed everything. That's just so crazy. That one setup, I felt like no one. I would have bet you money like that Usman was going to win that fight, like all the money
Oh
in the
yeah,
bank.
easily.
Yeah, and then yeah, that's how the pay per view ended. That's how the night ended.
It ended with a shocker, man. And I feel bad for the people that betted for Usman to
Yeah,
beat Leon Edwards because like he was 56 seconds away. And also forget about Pena beating Nunes as making that as the biggest upset in UFC history. This one last night, I think that one tops it right there for a
yeah,
fact, man.
I think so too. I think this fight is going to be talked about for a while, for a good year maybe, because there's moments where people talk about fights that remember bits and pieces of it, but this match is going to be talked about for a solid minute because it felt like that's what's the kick heard around the world. It just felt like there's Muhammad Ali knocking out. I think it was it Fraser, that iconic picture where Muhammad Ali is over him. That pick,
Oh yeah, like
yeah,
that.
yeah, and this kick with Leon Edwards, I felt like I don't know if it'll be that impactful, but it's going to be like up there, like close to it. That's going to be the kick heard around the world, I think.
Oh man.
And did you see that video afterwards of Leon Edwards calling his mom afterwards?
Yeah, like I'm not gonna lie, I got emotional, like
Yeah,
almost teared up
yeah,
because like honestly, I like both guys. Like I feel sorry for Usman because I'm pretty sure he had his daughter watching as well.
yeah,
And then you got Leon Edwards who wanted to be a world champion. He finally got the title, and then calling his mom and talking to his kid. I'm not sure if it's his son or daughter, but yeah, that was a very emotional part as well.
yeah. That was so crazy. I felt like you know, it's just Leon with one kick changed so much. It felt like it was a butterfly effect in a way. You don't know, like I felt like because Nate Diaz, sorry, so for non UFC fans, they probably don't know understand what we're talking about, how like a butterfly effect, how that's going to affect the future. Because this match that Leon Edwards just beat Usman with, like got the title for, this domino effect, butterfly effect, whatever you want to call it, messed up. We could not messed up. That's probably too early to tell. It could have. What's his name? Who's Nate Diaz supposed to fight? One like on his name. I can see his face. Jake. Nate Diaz's
Is it
opponent for
Kamzat
281. Yeah, comes up. He's
Kamzat Chimaev?
yeah. I think if he wins, if he beats Nate Diaz, he possibly just made his title run longer. At the start of the title longer because they have the Usman, he automatically I think gets his title match return, like rematch. Like, he gets his rematch at the title. And so all of this just threw a monkey wrench into the whole thing. It was so crazy.
Yeah, like Chimaev's gonna have to wait his turn because like there's no way Usman has to go down like that. There's got to be a trilogy, and from what I've heard, like they may have the trilogy in like Wembley Stadium in London, bro, and
Yeah.
that's where Leon Edwards is from, like from the UK.
Yeah.
Do you know how huge that's gonna be?
That's gonna be sold out in the heartbeat. Like that's gonna can you imagine if that third fight happens there in London? Dude, and if Leon wins, knocks him out again, man, the chances I
And
don't know what the chances are of that, but just if there's a slight chance or a good chance of that happening, and he retains his title, dude, that place is gonna come unglued.
It's
If
gonna be absolute madness for both sides,
yeah,
whichever way it happens. If Leon does beat Usman again, there's rumors that Jorge Masvidal could get a shot at Leon Edwards first.
well, that's gonna be crazy. Can you imagine Jorge versus God? That's gonna be a crazy match, dude. If that would
That was
happen.
supposed to happen at UFC 269 of
Yeah,
last year.
that's wild. This whole thing, like, since Leon won last night, there's so many possibilities you can go based off now. Because I feel like Usman has been at the top for Lord knows how long, and now
3
with
years?
yeah, Leon, it feels like with Leon at the top now, it feels like okay, he's gonna have a title defense, but how's his first title defense gonna be? And based on the results, how is that gonna affect the future? Like like there's so many possibilities now.
I think like it could be like Pena Nunes. Like when Pena beat Nunes, Nunes had to get that rematch and get the title back, which she did.
Yeah,
It could be a possibility that Usman like gets the title back as long as he makes the right adjustments. He has a great coach in Trevor Whitman, who's the
yeah,
best of the best.
for sure. I think it's all about your training and how you prepare for a fight going into. Because if Leon Edwards, the way that he practiced trained, you could tell he was tired later on. So that's one thing I think his training is going to have to really amp up a little bit more. It felt like you really have to start not preparing for you're not preparing for 3 round fights anymore. You're fighting for a championship fight for 5 rounds now. In the main event, or the lights are the brightest. Like, how are you going to prepare? Not that I don't think Leon can't. He's obviously won a title, but how is he going to defend the title as opposed to trying to win a title? Because it's two different ends of the spectrum. Like, you're going in there trying to win, but now you're trying to go in there and win, but you're defending something. It's a totally different ball game for Leon. I think now.
He's been in 5 round fights before. The one with Dos Santos and
Yeah,
the one against Nate Diaz,
yeah,
because they made that one a 5 round fight, and then he went to 5 rounds with Usman too.
yeah,
So
yeah. Kind of speaking about Nate Diaz. I mean, do you think it's too early to count him out yet for 281? Do you think? How do you think? What are your thoughts on that fight?
I haven't counted out Nate Diaz ever since that first fight against McGregor, bro.
Yeah,
I
that's
think I learned my lesson after that.
yeah. I felt like with Nate, I felt like he's an Ultimate Fighter winner. He won the spot. Was it? He won to get a contract in the UFC and anything like that. And I felt like his name really wasn't as popular as it is now. I felt like he really made himself after the Conor McGregor fight. I felt like he really he was. Oh, let me rephrase that. He was becoming somebody. Like before the Conor McGregor fight, he was really becoming somebody. And then after he beat him
Yeah,
the first time, it felt like that's when Nate became Nate Diaz and really became like the household name that he is. Like he became, started doing the Stockton slap and anything like that. This, to Connor,
yeah,
everybody, like the legit,
bang.
like legit, like Connor, like in the middle of a match, slaps him and then points at him and laughs at him, and this is crazy. I
It
mean,
was very effective too.
yeah, I really don't think Nate. I don't want to count out Nate because it feels like he's really one of those people who could come up and up, like beat, win. But I don't know. This guy he's fighting, he's really young too. He reminds me. He's got that will and determination and grit like Khabib had. It's just so crazy.
Yeah. Sorry, my thing went off, so
You're
I
good.
had to turn back on.
You're good. I was saying like how like Nate Diaz. It was like I don't want to count him out, but the guy, it's both like you never know what's gonna happen. He reminds me of a lot of that grit that Khabib has. Like just excuse me, that comes from the bottom and really, really to come up and you know do anything until he gets that victory.
Yeah, I wouldn't count out Nate Diaz, but his next opponent is, yeah, he is a monster. Kamzat Chimaev. I knew this dude was gonna be trouble since I saw his first fight, and like the way that he fought Gilbert Burns, and they went to a decision on that. It was a very close fight, but Chimaev, I think, was the better striker.
Hmm.
He also stuffed the takedowns that Gilbert Burns like tried to make, and like I just think Chimaev was the better fighter, and like if he beats Nate Diaz, then that shows he's the real deal as well, taking out a legend.
Yeah, for sure. There feels like Nate Diaz is going to be, before you know it, he's going to be one of those people too. If he keeps winning and keeps doing whatever, keeps doing. If Nate keeps being Nate, I think he's going to be a legend at the end of the day when it's all said and done. Because it feels like he's already a legend in the making as it is, the way that he is. Him and his brother Nick are. It feels like those two, the Diaz brothers, are really something special. I think. So, other than that, is there any other fights that are coming up that you're really looking forward to?
In 2 more weeks, we got UFC Fight Night in France. Cyril Gane versus
Yeah,
Tai Tuivasa. That's a good one. And then you got the uh, co-headliner on that one, Robert Whitaker and Marvin Vittori.
yeah, that's going to be a crazy fight in France. That's going to be a stacked card in France too. That's so crazy. I'm looking forward to the main event with Cyril Gane. I feel like that's, I don't know. I don't know what to expect in that fight, but I'm just looking forward to it. If that makes sense, it just feels like that's another fight I'm really looking forward to.
I felt like someone could go to sleep in that fight. Tai Tuivasa has some power too, and like if he connects, like he could seriously hurt you. Like
Yeah,
we seen that when he knocked out Derek Lewis. But Cyril Gane is very technical, and like he
hmm,
was giving Francis Ngannou, who is like the most powerful puncher in the heavyweight division, trouble, and
yeah,
turned Francis into a wrestler, which Cyril couldn't really wrestle that much because
mm,
Francis was on him the whole time.
yeah, for sure. There's a lot of, I think, a lot of good fights. I think Cyril Gane has really going to be one of those up and coming. I not say up and coming, but really like those heavyweight fighters that really could be striving towards something. He could be. He's someone who could be at the top. I think he's a little bit something to be there. To
I
actually
mean, he's already oh, my bad.
be good.
He's already won the interim title, so
Yeah,
he's actually had a belt before
yeah,
when he beat Derek Lewis. So
for sure.
that
Do you think?
counts.
Yeah. Do you think we're kind of jumping into place a little bit? There's rumors going around. I'm not sure if it's official yet, but speaking about heavyweight division, since we're on the topic, I want to get your thoughts on this.
Oh,
There's a couple of tweets that went out by one person he doesn't fight heavyweight, but he's fought at light heavyweight, and his name is John Bone Jones. Um,
yes.
him fighting Stipe in December. Um, I just want to I think that's going to be one of the craziest. When it comes true, if Dana signs it and makes it official, that's going to be a fight. I think that's going to explode the planet. It's going to break the universe. To be honest with you, um,
Oh man.
what are you thinking about it just right now?
Dude, I have chills. I'm like, make it happen already. Just
Yeah,
make it happen. Sign the contract, put it out there on social media. Just make it happen. Put it on the UFC 282 card. I know 281's already stacked with two title fights. Put it on 282 because I heard that's gonna be in Las Vegas. And John Jones, like to me, he's the GOAT, bro. I think
yeah,
he's the MMA GOAT
yeah, for sure. Do you
that
think?
that's fighting.
Yeah, man, for sure. I think I don't know with UFC 281, we're kind of see it's kind of hard to because last time we saw a Stipe fight, I believe was when he got knocked out by Francis, right? So
A
I'm trying to think of
rematch.
yeah. So that's what I was trying to think of ask you is like, do you think if after Cyril gone at UFC 281, after this depends on whoever wins and the standings are, do you think who do you think's gonna do you think DC Francis or not Francis John going into the main event picture if he beats Stipe or do you think Stipe is going back into the title fight? So like what do you think about the whole standings and like overall picture heavyweight title picture?
It depends what Francis Ngannou wants to do after the knee surgery as well. But like, if John Jones does beat Stipe, you could be looking at John Jones facing Francis, or if Stipe does win, then could be having a trilogy because if you look at it, first fight, Stipe beat Francis just by his wrestling,
Yeah.
but Francis made some adjustments in the rematch, and
Mhm.
that's where we are today with Francis having the belt. Francis knocked out Stipe in the rematch at UFC 260,
Mhm.
and we never looked back after
Mhm. It feels like
that.
with, with Francis, not for I keep saying Francis, with John Jones and Stipe, it feels like I really don't know how this excuse me, this match is gonna go because it feels like technically, like technical wise, because it feels like you're dealing with John Jones, who's lengthy. He's got really long arms who could really strike you. His reach is long. He's really good. Like he's really known. What is he known for? Like he's known for his wrestling and his takedown, his grappling and striking and everything. Everything. He's really known for everything. In Stipe, he's known for his wrestling too. It's his takedown. It feels like with if that were to happen, it feels like we're not going to get your traditional heavyweight fight. It feels like we're going in there with like no pun intended. You're going in there with the gloves off, even though they are wearing gloves. You're going in there with the gloves off, and they're going to go to war. And it feels like you don't know who's going to win. I felt like that's going to be like when I say that it's going to be the fight that breaks the universe because it feels like you don't know what's going to happen. Like if John knocks him out, knocks Stipe out, or Stipe knocks him out, or it's going to be a wrestling like a full blooded wrestling match with striking. I don't know. I really don't know how it can happen either way.
um,
'Cause it feels like with Derek and Francis, they're really known for their strikeout power, but with John and Stipe, it's gonna be different. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, you're good. I was trying to think. My cat was all meowing, so like, dang cat. I
Okay.
was trying to think. Maybe this could be better than when John Jones fought Alexander Gustafsson in the first fight.
Mhm.
Maybe that could break it. You
Yeah,
never know. High expectations are on this fight, man.
for sure. There's so many expectations, it's gonna be crazy. That's one fight that's been rumored that I'm really hoping to go for, and I really hope it comes to fruition, so, yeah, there's so many fights that are coming up, like you said, Cheryl Gone in 281 in France with Whitaker in the co-main, it feels like there's so much that we can be looking forward to.
I
Um,
think it's just a regular fight night. I don't think it's at
title
281. I think it's just
Oh,
a
280.
regular fight
Yeah,
night.
yeah, for sure. Oh, yeah,
Sadly.
yeah, I wish it was. But, yeah, there's so many stuff coming up, dude. Yeah, it feels like I'm so shocked over how it happened last night. I might need to take more time to really think about it more.
My brain hasn't adjusted at all, bro. Like, I just feel like I'm in a whole different universe
For sure. It feels
after
like
seeing that crap.
I felt like I fell into a parallel universe a little bit, like Usman lost, it's like, what? Yeah, it's
He didn't
crazy.
only lose, he got knocked out, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's gonna be, yes, I talked about forever, I think. So,
Like, you're talking about him like laying flat on his back too. That's
yeah.
the brutal part.
Sure, that picture's gonna be going around of him just laying on the ground on the mat. That's gonna be sewn around so much too.
Did you see his eyes?
Yeah, it looked like he was like the lights were on, but no one was home. Like that stuff, those are eyes I've never seen before in a long time, if not ever. Those
Like
kind
with
of
his mouthpiece and just
yeah, he was out of it.
man,
Yeah,
never thought I'd see that.
me either. But yeah. So a lot of stuff to look forward to. So man, that's crazy. But yeah, thanks Matt for coming on. I had a lot of fun. So a lot of good fights coming up, huh?
Yeah, man, I just can't wait. The UFC is looking very good this year in 2022.
Yeah, I think we're only in August, and there's like a few more months left of the year, and they can only see what happens for the last bit of it, last few months.
Yeah, even like just regular fight nights are very fun to watch,
Yeah,
especially when they have in like different arenas. Like the Apex is okay. It's just I like it when there's actually like a
peep.
bunch of fans that could come
Yeah,
and watch.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. It's like I felt like I felt better as a fan. I felt like I felt like that interaction with other fans and hearing that crowd. It feels like, oh my god, I felt like I don't know how to explain it. It's like that amps me up a little bit more. I'm not even fighting. That amps me up because it feels like there's other people who are interested in watching that fight too. So just hearing the reaction of the crowd and everything like that and whatever. So all of it makes me just feel like, oh, that's only the only one downfall about the Apex I don't like, but I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So, Matt, thanks for coming on, dude. Hopefully I felt like we talked about a lot here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
cool.
definitely there was definitely a lot. I couldn't wait to share my thoughts on this one, man.
I know. I'm finally happy we were actually talk about UFC on this podcast finally because it felt like after the last one, it felt like you literally gave your prediction before a pay per view and it came to fruition. So I was happy to just talk about what happened last night and talk about possible outcomes in the future. So, yeah, thank you again for coming on, dude.
Yeah, thank
Hopefully,
you so much for having me.
yeah, man. So thank you. So have a good one, and hopefully everybody, has a good weekend or a good rest of your week, like just enjoying everything. So thank y'all. See you, man.
See you later.
Peace.